All of us have our little secrets, but some secrets are worth being told. They deserve being heard. This story of mine is so surreal that it changed how I saw this world and this life permanently. It has been decades since it happened to me, but I still get pushed out of my sleep in the middle of the night just to find my heart racing, palms sweating, and myself questioning, why me? Why only me? I've never told this story before, so listen carefully. It was the year 1941, and we were in the middle of the Second World War. It was a time when countries were racing to innovate, as that was their best chance to survive the brutal war. Born in California to an American mother and an Indian immigrant father from Punjab who came to America in the early 1900s, I was a young 25-year-old geologist who was eager to prove his potential. So, when I got a call to join a research expedition to Antarctica, I was extremely thrilled. But underneath the excitement, there was also fear. The fear of the unknown. The fear of survival on a faraway barren land filled with ice, and that of leaving my family during such difficult times. But taking my dad, who sailed the lonely seas, to come to a country half a world away from his home as inspiration, I decided to join the expedition. After sailing for about 2 weeks, as we were about to reach our destination, in just under half a day, disaster struck. An unexpected storm hit us so hard in the night with a force that I have never witnessed before that despite the best efforts of the crew, our ship couldn't be saved. The 10-member crew narrowly escaped death by taking the 2 lifeboats available, but ultimately were thrown in different directions due to the utter lack of control that we had in the face of nature's wrath. As the sun rose in the distant horizon, having escaped the storm, I felt extremely lucky to be alive. I was with 4 other members of the crew in the lifeboat. Shortly after, we saw the icy shore of Antarctica at a distance and took a sigh of relief. However, that feeling was short-lived. As we got closer to the shore, a sudden sense of fear crawled up our spines. As the 5 of us realized, we had absolutely no idea which part of the continent we were about to land on. It was clearly not our research site. We neither had the food supplies nor were mentally prepared to survive the harsh and barren landscape. As we landed and started walking in the hopes of finding our research site, the frigid wind bit at our skin, our breath forming clouds in the bitter cold. The deeper we ventured into the icy wilderness, the stronger and louder the winds got, eventually making it impossible for us to see what's 10 feet ahead. And then, without any warning, 2 massive polar bears appeared in front of us from nowhere. The bears looked equally shocked and surprised to have bumped into us. Their shock quickly turned into aggression, perhaps in defense, and they charged at us almost instantly. Before I could even start to think, one of the bears ripped apart my colleague's face. He was standing barely a few feet in front of me. In a moment of chaos and utter panic, I started running away from the bears. But even before I could cover any meaningful distance, I felt the force of 1,000 blades pierce through my back, and I was thrown a good 30 feet away from where I was. As I saw the bears absolutely mauling and killing each and every member of the crew, I realized that my time to die has come. In that moment, my whole life started flashing in front of my eyes, and before I knew, I lost my consciousness. After what felt like an eternity of being lost in nothingness, a sharp pain springing from the center of my existence jolted me back to life. As if nothing had happened since I lost my consciousness, my mind picked up where it left. Chaos and panic. The same exact feelings that I was going through while watching the humongous bears rip our crew apart. I tried to open my eyes at once, but couldn't. I wanted to stand up and run, but couldn't feel my legs. I knew I was alive, but felt like I was imprisoned in my own body. A few seconds later, I slowly started getting my motor skills back. I then opened my eyes, only to be blinded by what seemed like a light as bright as the sun itself. It didn't take long for me to realize it was no brighter than an old bedside lamp in a dimly lit room. I stood up at once, expecting to see a ferocious bear charging at me with full force, but quickly realized I was in an empty room with nothing close to a bear anywhere nearby. My heart was beating so fast, the sound of my beating heart was the only thing I could hear. Just as I started to think that I was all alone, I noticed an eerie shadow behind what seemed like a dark wall of glass. I was being watched. My mind started racing. I had so many questions. Where am I? Am I alive? If yes, how did I survive? Who was watching me? Before I could make sense of anything around me in that moment, the shadow materialized into a creature so magnificent that it inspired both extreme fear and a deep sense of awe in me. Its features, unlike anything I had ever seen. It was as if the creature simply walked through the wall of glass. My racing heart came to a screeching halt, and my mind slowed down at once. It was then that the creature spoke, not with its mouth, but with its mind. There was no sound, but I could hear the creature loud and clear. In a mesmerizing tone, it asked me, "How are you feeling?" Although it seemed like the creature spoke the same language as I did, there were no real words being spoken, only expressions being conveyed. To say I was shocked is an understatement. Nothing was making sense to me. But then, it also didn't make sense that I was alive. Realizing that I had nothing to lose, I responded casually. In the conversation that followed, which I didn't ever want it to end, my understanding of reality and existence changed forever. The creature began by explaining that it had healed my wounds to save my life after finding me unconscious. While I thanked the creature for saving my life, a favor that I will never be able to pay back for, I found myself drowning in curiosity. I wanted to know so much about the creature itself, where it came from, what was it doing there, and much more. So I asked. While hesitant at the beginning, the creature eventually shared its story. It was part of an alien race that had once thrived on the planet Venus for millennia. It was a time when Venus was not as hot as it is today. Science and innovation helped fuel prosperity, and for the longest of time, they were living in abundance. But there came a time when their future was threatened by the depleting energy resources on Venus. It was time they captured the energy of the sun directly to help fuel their progress. So they conducted an experiment to build powerful energy aggregators closer to the sun. These aggregators captured the energy of the sun and transmitted it directly to their stations that orbited Venus in the form of ultra-high energy waves. These stations would collect the energy, store it, and then distribute it across the planet. It was a path to limitless energy, unstoppable progress. But it all fell apart one day when a powerful solar storm that occurred once every 200,000 years fried the controls on the aggregators, resulting in extremely high-intensity energy waves being bombarded onto Venus. This destroyed the atmosphere on Venus overnight and slowly turned it into an extremely hot and barren planet that could no longer support intelligent life. Having lost over 95% of their population to this disaster, they decided to explore Earth as their new home. But Earth was already thriving with its own life. Having no intention to interfere in the evolution of life on Earth, the alien race migrated from one secluded geography to another, eventually reaching Antarctica. They have built cities that thrive with alien life deep in the wilderness of Antarctica and use advanced technology to keep them all hidden from mankind. In the days that followed, I struggled to come to terms with the reality of my interaction with the creature. The existence of a highly intelligent alien race right here on Earth, a revelation that shook the very foundations of my understanding of the universe. But just as unexpectedly as this experience unfolded, my time around the creature came to an abrupt end. Without much of an explanation, with a gentle touch, the creature erased my memories of our encounter and of the bear attack. It then left me near the research site for the rest of my crew to find me. When I woke up, I was just excited to see familiar faces, oblivious to what happened to me on that fateful journey. For years, I lived in a blissful ignorance, the memory of my encounter buried deep within my subconscious. But fate has a way of unraveling the past, and one day, By accident, it all came rushing back to me when I met with a surfing accident and injured my head. I spent many months contemplating how to process these memories. It only felt fair that an unfortunate, yet an awe-inspiring experience be written down for curious souls to embark upon. So I did.